Hey folks, fWhip here, and welcome on back to Fishing with fWhip, where we can ride down the brand new river we've been working on and do a little fishing down here, as we've got a lot to chat about, as it has been a little while since the last Fishing with fWhip episode. And well, I'm in desperate need of nautilus shells to create a bunch of conduits to detail this area, so here we can fish and catch up on a few things. And today I kind of want to talk about the new Librarian Villager changes that were announced a few weeks ago for 1.20.2, a few updates as far as like the new life series, some life projects and things like that that have been going on, and then kind of where future build projects are going to go, and a little bit more about kind of what I want to see on 1.21, whatever that next new update is. I've got a few hopes that I want. I'm kind of curious what y'all are thinking on that. But anyways, those Librarian Villager changes that have been causing a lot of turmoil on the internet recently, I'll be honest, I really like the change that they're doing. If you don't know what it is, Mojang is going through the process right now, and it's an experimental feature, so it's not even confirmed it's going to be in the game, but it's a complete overhaul on how librarian villagers work. Right now, currently, you slap down a lectern and then hope that you get the trade you want. If you don't get the trade, you break the lectern and put it back down. You repeat that until you get your mending or your efficiency 4 or whatever it might be, and it's all just 100% random, and it really kind of sucks. It's tedious, and for me, it's one of my least favorite things to do in the game. It feels like a chore more than anything. But what they're talking about doing and considering is behind each biome, say right over here, we have our desert villagers right up over there, not the nitwit, everybody else could do it. You turn them one of them into a librarian, and you get them fully maxed out, and there's a specific enchantment that comes from being from a desert librarian. I can't remember all of them, but I know, for example, a swamp librarian will always give you a mending trade when it's maxed out, which is really, really cool. Are we getting rain? We're getting rain. Oh, we're getting extra treasure. This is amazing. If you didn't know, when it's raining in Minecraft and you need to do some fishing, definitely go do your fishing then, because it makes it so there's more treasure that comes out when you fish. It's pretty cool. Anyway, so a lot of people seem to be a little upset that we now have to move villagers or whatever it is around the world. A lot of people seem to be like, well, there's no easy way to move villagers, so now I have to go breed them in all these different biomes, get a desert villager, max him out to get that enchantment, go over to a swamp, move villagers there to then get the swamp villager, because those can't spawn naturally. You actually have to, well, they technically can, but you have to more or less move villagers there, breed a villager, and then it's going to be a swamp villager as the offspring from there. The little baby that'll come out. The same thing for getting jungle villagers, but every other type you can find just throughout the world, which is really good. I like that there's the 2 hidden villagers that you can get that are custom skins, because I think they're fun to play with, but also it isn't super welcoming for new players right now, because nobody really tells you that they exist unless you see a zombie villager out there that you're like, whoa, that's a different skin, should I cure it? And then that's how you figure it out. But that's the only way that new players really know. So I think new players would have a lot more difficult time finding mending. But as an experienced player, I like the idea of this being changed, because I think overall it's going to save me more time if I'm starting out a new world, which would be really cool. And if it's anything like the previous villager changes, it doesn't matter about your old villagers. Those are going to stay intact. Their trades aren't going to re-roll. Look at the village and pillage update. The villagers you had before that, they still have all their old mechanics, and you can trade with them infinitely. If you have an extremely old world like I had back in my Building with fWhip series, all my old original villagers, their trades would just never lock, so I used them to generate a ton of emeralds. So I think a lot of the worry people have is that their existing villagers are going to get messed up in their long-term worlds, but I'd be willing to take the bet that that's not going to happen, and existing villagers won't really be changed. The only concern I really have with it right now, because I like the idea, obviously, as we're kind of doing it in the hardcore world right now, of moving around the world and setting up new bases in different biomes and creating settlements, so the villagers having unique things in each biome gives me a reason to build a village in every single one of the villager biomes. So that's like 6 new projects for me that sound like a lot of fun. So as a builder, that's really cool. The only red flag currently in there right now is, if you haven't seen it, some of the master trades, like on Fortune, the max one they currently have is Fortune 2, not Fortune 3, which seems a little off for being a master level librarian villager. It should probably give you the max level enchantments. And even more so, efficiency on the chart that they shared only gives efficiency 3 when why wouldn't it just give efficiency 4? The thing that I worry about there is if you've ever used an anvil to combine things and it says too expensive, that's because your max enchantment level has been broken and then you're like way over the cap there. And it's kind of an older system that just doesn't work out too well. And then if they bring that in here, when you add two efficiency 3 books together, you get efficiency 4. Then you have to add 2 more efficiency 3s together to get efficiency 4. Then you have to combine those together to get efficiency 5. And that's a higher enchantment. Ooh, we got our first knowledge shell. Yay. But that's a higher enchantment level than you would have off of just say a base efficiency 4 or 5 book, because you'd only have 1 round of combining or 0 rounds. So I think that could cause more problems for getting gear maxed out, which maybe means the enchanting table is stronger again. Ooh, a second one. But the enchantment table is such a mess that really needs to be redone and made something more consistent than it is right now in order for that to be useful as well, because villager trading is just so much easier as is. So I hope they just don't make it worse overall, but I think the direction they're taking it is really cool in my opinion. Speaking of future things, 1.21 hopefully will be happening in Minecraft. I have no confirmation on it, but I'm assuming the way things are going, there will be new features coming into the game. I've got 3 main things that I'm hoping they just pick one of them to be the next update. Either 1, an end update, 2 being an inventory and just like general quality of life update to make playing the game less tedious. As far as like, I think if we had a better ability to manage our inventories and do all that type of stuff around here, that would just make the game so much more streamlined. And then if you go and do the villager changes where those things are a little bit harder to set up, I think the community would still be okay with it if they're saving a lot of time elsewhere in the game. Because let's be honest, on the villager thing, you set it up once and you're done. So it's a little bit of like a project that you're going through, but then it's done and you never have to deal with it again. But if they made inventories more streamlined and had that as something where we could more efficiently do things in this game and like carry our inventories around for the blocks, and like the windmill over there was 3 shulker boxes of different materials. They weren't all full stacks, but I needed 3 shulker boxes just because of the different materials I used in it. So to be able to bring more blocks with you, or maybe even more like the stack is larger than 64, whatever it might be, I think that could be a good way to do it. I don't think adding the bundle is the right fix. So as far as the inventory update goes, I hope it's something a little bit just simple. I mean, if you look at how Terraria does it, you can stack items up to 999. I know that'd be kind of a band-aid, but it would help a lot at the scale people build in Minecraft now. Imagine instead of 64 sandstone in a stack, you had 999 sandstone in a stack. You would need a lot less stacks to be able to move around and carry your stuff with you. Sure, you'd still be limited to a chest of 27 stacks in total, but if each stack is 999, blah, 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 you basically, a shulker box would then be, our current shulker box, if you're carrying a whole shulker of, say, sand, that would be 2 stacks, if not even less. So you'd be able to move a lot more items in a lot smaller amount of space. I think would help with the whole building process and speeding things up. I don't know if it'll happen. It seems kind of non-Minecrafty to get rid of the 64 because that's so iconic in this game, but also could be kind of nice. Now, outside of that, the other one I think is up there for me is the end update. And then if I haven't mentioned it, I also want to see them do the biome updates of all the old biome votes where they're like, which one do you want to see added now? These other 2 will add eventually later on. I've always said this as an update. I think it's an instant win for Mojang if they just go back and add in all of those biomes. I think that's just such a simple, easy way to do it. Like they had a desert update that added a little oasis. They had, which might be the next video I'm working on. Ooh, building an oasis, way. Then they had the Badlands, which was supposed to add, what was it? Vultures and like some other bones or something like that. I can't remember too much about it, but I remember seeing that in like some sage, like brush, like tumbleweed type things. That would be pretty cool to have. Outside of that, the savannah was supposed to be add baobab trees, which would be another wood type to have in the game, which would be super fun. I'm just gonna exist through the night since we're out here floating and it's still raining and I want to get all the treasure that we can, so hopefully it doesn't turn bad for us. It'd be pretty sad if we died in a fishing with fWhip video. That's not the vibe. Oh, speaking of dangers, I drowned. We're just gonna go into a little bit deeper water here, and he won't get us. But with all those ideas I just kind of brought up, I feel like a biome update would be really cool. Then the one I haven't really talked about is the end update. And I see a lot of people saying, well, there's this mod called the Better End. Why don't we just have that brought into the game? It adds all these cool biomes and all this amazing things to the end. And I'll be honest, that is the last thing I want them to add to the end. I think it's cool. I think it's fun to play with. We've done it a few times in different series. Like, I believe it's on New Life right now. We had it in Afterlife, and when I did the Better Minecraft series, it was in there as well. But it made traversing the end so difficult, and it was just so overbearing. Oh, my villagers are all gonna die. New plan. We have to sleep. I don't want the villagers to die. What's the point of stuff if I don't have villagers to share it with? Quick flight away, and everybody despawned. Amazing. Villagers, are we safe? Everybody's alive. Back to fishing. But anyways, the end update. I would love for the end update to still keep that desolate, barren end vibe to it, but add in the same way that we have the end structures that we find out there, where you're like, oh my gosh, they're suddenly here in this barren, void wasteland I'm running across. I think that's how the biomes should work. They should be like pockets in areas instead of completely revamping the end. But having some things out there would be either new tree types or new types of mushrooms, new detail blocks that we can get, and just some different palettes to work with. Like expanding on purpur and giving some other blocks in there that can kind of work with those palettes better. More ways to work endstone into builds, I think, could be really good like that. Some kind of way to bridge between that and sandstone would be really fun. And they just have a lot of ability for custom lighting things outside there. Some custom mobs that they could just go absolutely crazy with. Adding in, there's just like, you don't have to hold anything back when you're in an alien landscape like the end dimension. So there's a lot of ability to do some cool things out there, which I think, I hope that they do eventually. The end is really boring right now. I don't go out there unless I absolutely need to get more shulkers or more elytra or whatever it might be. But outside of that, I don't do anything. I got my stuff around the main end island that, well, lack of a main end island, the center of the end. I have stuff around there. But outside of that, like, there's no reason for me to be out there really do anything. It's only a place to build and create something in space at this point for me. But I hope traversing the end maybe gets a little bit easier, and there's some things we could use out there. If there's some way of making an end like grappling hook to get between the islands, so you're not out there just bridging between them with your cobblestone that you brought along until you run out and still can't find the end, whatever their stronghold, no. End city, that's what they're called. If there's some way to like grapple between the islands, like I know we have ender pearls, but they're just a little hard to work with. So maybe there's some way they can expand on that and make that a new form of transportation that could almost rival the elytra for being able to get around. I think it'd be really cool. Like if you're at a base of a build and you just kind of, I guess you can use an ender pearl to move yourself to the top, but something that could like store more ender pearl usages in one item than the 16 ender pearls you get in a stack, I think could be a fun way to do things. That's kind of a lot of the things I'm looking forwards to in Minecraft. And also I just want to follow up because a lot of people have asked. If you've come out to the live streams, you've heard that I'm taking a little bit of a break from New Life. I'm kind of still in that break, but I definitely feel the itch to get back on the server and keep doing things and keep messing around with the create mod mostly, because I did join the server with hopes of working with create and just doing a lot of things, and I still haven't built a train, so I need to get back on there and do that. So I'm excited to jump back on there soon. I don't know when soon is, but the excitement to be back on the series is definitely starting to come back for me, which I'm really excited about. So once we get in there and all that stuff, you'll probably see some more videos coming out. But I think the pace that I'm going to take it is working on it in the background, working on when I'm having fun with it and when I want to be on there, instead of being like, man, I need to get a weekly New Life video out. I want to take it more as a, this sounds fun to do right now and sounds fun to work on today, so I'm going to jump on there and go for a few hours. And if I'm not having fun, I'll jump back off and start working on the hardcore videos or whatever else I might be doing at the time. So that's kind of where I'm at with that one. We'll see where it lands out at the end. And how are we 15 minutes in and only have 2 Nautilus shells? I might need a drown farm. But some life projects, I know a lot of people have asked about like a garden update and how things like that are going, because I think the last fishing with fWhip, I had just planted it and that was in spring, and it was a super fun hobby to have throughout the summer. I had an absolutely fantastic time with it. We still have a lot of things out there. We took out a lot of the early spring vegetables and stuff that we planted. Like we used to have arugula in there that we took out. We had some spinach that we took out just because like they kind of went their course, and the lettuce that we had in there is kind of at the end of its life right now. But we also learned a lot through the summer that we weren't quite harvesting them all correctly. So we're getting plenty of food out of it, but we weren't encouraging it to regrow that well. So living and learning and getting ready for next year, which will be really fun because I want to keep doing it for sure and keep that as a hobby, which will be really fun to kind of keep up and keep learning. And next year I'm already like, ooh, I think I can fit a few more pots out here so we can have even more veggies in the area. And I really want to get into like planting some flowers in the garden and everything like that. So that's my summertime and springtime hobby, which I'm looking forward to continuing. But right now in the garden, we have some rosemary, we have some basil that's been doing really well. We have, it was my birthday recently, and my younger brother got me a tomato plant, so we got that in there. And then the carrots that we planted at the beginning of the year are still growing and kind of coming in, so we're getting ready to harvest those. They look massive, so we're gonna probably do that here soon. And then outside of that, one other cool thing that we got recently is I was just randomly at the hardware store getting some other things to plant the tomato plant that we got, and I saw some wind chimes and I bought one, and I put one up on a tree right outside our living room window, and I'm like, this is a core memory unlocked. This is a full core memory of being kids and just like listening to them outside the house all the time. So that's been really nice having that on the windy days, just listening to little chimes going outside, which has been really, really fun. Now for projects back in the Minecraft side, the hardcore world, I'm very much just kind of sticking around in the desert for a while. I mentioned earlier that I'm kind of working on an oasis next, and a little village is going to go up here around the windmill. I had meant to do it in the last video, and I ran out of time, and I was like, I just want to get this video live. I'm working on it for 10 days. So I finished that one off, and then I'm going to start off with working on that pretty much after I finish recording this thing. This is kind of my wake up for the day, and I figured I wanted to do a little bit of a touch base because we haven't done this for a while, and I need to do some fishing, and I was hoping we'd get a lot more nautilus shells. But the goal is like 1 or 2 more episodes on the outskirts of the desert city, and then after that we're probably going to move into the desert city and start doing things over there. This I'm working on right now, episode 44. Then I think we're going to stay out here roughly till episode 50, and that'll be probably that's like 6 more weeks. I think that's enough time to be able to build up most of the area, depending on how crazy massive I want to make it. But I think that's something that I can really start looking forward to. Of episode 50 will probably be about the time that we transition back to the old zone and get working on some projects over there, because I have a few things I definitely want to finish before the end of the year and get working, as we've had a lot of projects back in the main city that have just been kind of dormant. I mean, the mega tree, giga tree, whatever you want to call it, it's needed work on it for about a year now, and I think we got to finish that off before the end of the year. And then if I also can, I want to do a lot more work in the city over there. I'm kind of calling it the capital city of the continent is the idea there, is that'll be the biggest, most massive one where there's just so many things happening and different places alluding to it. Like we'll probably have an embassy here from New Papyrus back over in the city, which I still have yet to name. And my goal for the end of the year is to connect the upper section with the industrial district, probably just one road going along with buildings on all the sides of the road, and kind of setting up the main road infrastructure and being able to start just filling those sections in by the time the year ends. I'm hoping that we can do that and see where that all goes. And then probably after that, I think it's going to be like a 6 months on, 6 months off type thing, or maybe like a 6 months on working in that area, and then a 3 month off, which is kind of what this desert break is going to be turning into, is like 3 months working out here. I think that's a good way to do it, to still make progress on the main base and everything we got going on over there. And then after that being like, okay, you know what, we can take a break here, we can go work on something else, let the creative juices for that zone kind of just like have a break and build up over time, because I'm starting to get build ideas and writing them down for how I want to do things over there, which is great, because I was really starting to be like, man, I'm running out of new ideas and stuff, and now that I've just been somewhere else, my brain of course is like, ooh, what if we do this, ooh, what if we do that? So I've just been writing them all down on a little document for when I get back over there, then we can look at what we actually want to do and have some fun with it. But that's kind of all the updates I have for today, and it looks like we're not getting too many nautilus shells, so we might have to look into a drowned farm or something like that here soon. But thank you all so very much for watching. Leave a like if you enjoyed, subscribe to fWhip 2 if you haven't already, and I'll catch y'all on the flip side.